What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Davey Sports Podcast. This is episode 177, recording this on the evening of Thursday, January 23rd, 2025. Matty's back with me. What's up, Matty?
What's up, Davey? What's up, everyone?
Oh, just another day in this terrible offseason for the Padres. But before we get into that, we'll gotta get into the Aztecs last night against Air Force. They won, but they needed a buzzer beater by McKinney to win in overtime against a terrible Air Force team. Oh my God, what is going on, guys? How do you not respond to the UNLV game?
No words. That was avoiding disaster without actually hitting disaster. That's like the prime example of that. Our season would have been over if we lost that game.
Yeah, you would have had to win the Mountain West tournament to make the tournament with that, because that would have been a quad 4 loss on the heels of a quad 3 loss.
And Air Force was 297th in Ken Palm heading into that game yesterday.
So basically 300th.
Basically. And let me check their net. Let me check their net as of this morning. It's breaking news. It's not
still
good.
297.
291 in the net.
Okay.
They jumped 7 spots in the net, but they were also 297 in Ken Palm. So basically 300 in both. That was the quality of the team that we were playing. And remember, this was the same team that we went on a 59-18 run just 2 weeks ago. Same team.
That seems like a problem to me.
Huge red flags, huge problems. Everything that happened on Saturday against UNLV carried over, and probably in a worse way, yesterday at Air Force.
Oh, it was terrible. Like that was like an awful game to watch, and like I was at the end of it, I was like, thank God we won, but that was still felt like a waste of my time. It still just was so aggravating to watch and felt like, what just happened, even though we actually won the game.
Yeah, like there was zero excuse for that to even be in that predicament and in that position. We were 13.5-point favorites, and we were up double digits early in the second half. You thought, oh, they're only up 4 the first half. They pull away to begin the second half, and nope, they allowed Air Force back in the game.
Yeah,
and
I remember I texted you when we were up 10. I'm like, okay, maybe they'll blow them out the rest of this half, right, and we'll be on our way, and we'll get back on track. No, that didn't happen.
Again, like, where can I start? It's like, we're not even doing the little things right. Like, we're not even boxing out.
Almost cost us the game.
After free throws, yeah. That didn't even box out on the missed shot before BJ Davis fouled the guy.
Yeah, I mean,
like, we're not doing the little things right. And
bailing them out with fouls late in the shot clock.
You can't do that. And you can't, with the way the game was being reffed yesterday, you can't allow it in the referee's hands. It's like, yeah, did Bird probably take a charge? Yeah, but you should have known how the game was being called, how ticky-tack it was, how you cannot trust Mountain West refs, and he took it in his hands, and hey, he got a block. You just can't do that in that position.
You think Bird would know that better than anybody after the Utah State game,
but he still risked it. So that's on him, actually.
That is on him. You're right about that.
That's on him. And then there's going to be points that I said on the pod here on the last time I was here on Sunday. And I did make a tweet today on a thread, like, basically airing out my laundry and what I think is wrong with the team. So there's a myriad of things. I think the number one thing here, we alluded to it last time, I don't think there's any leadership. Again. Because do you see an alpha guy in the team?
No, I don't. We talked about this last time. I don't.
Do you see a guy that everyone can rally around and listen to when things are rough?
No, I don't.
I think yesterday was a prime example of it. I mean, Air Force, one of the worst teams in the country. You allow them back in the game. You even let them have the lead, both in regulation and overtime. Like, to me, that's zero leadership, and to me that's on Dutch and the coaching staff. Like, they should have known this a long time ago and done things differently. Because again, this is a different team. You can't. Basically, the bottom line is you can't do the same thing from every season over and over. At this point, gotta change some stuff. Whatever has been working hasn't been working the last 3 or 4 weeks. Gotta change something. And the most alarming thing here, yeah, we just played the UNLV game last and we carried up with this. Can you tell me the last time we played this bad of basketball back-to-back games?
Yeah, it's alarmingly bad.
It's not, again, yeah, like, we are relieved we won, but there is still a lot to be desired. And honestly,
Yeah.
I'll be blunt. You and me both told this to each other earlier today, actually. Until they prove it, we can't trust them at this point. We thought they were going to wake up after the UNLV game. Didn't happen. What makes us think that they'll suddenly wake it up against Nevada on Sunday?
I don't see it, but I will say this: if they can win Saturday in Reno, then if they can win Saturday in Reno, then I will say that maybe last night was the wake up call. Am I expecting that to happen? No. Do I hope I'm wrong? Of course.
That's basically the bottom line. I agree with you. So yeah, like, until they prove it, I can't trust them at this point. Because it's been 3 or 4 weeks of bad basketball. That's a long time, and that's pretty bad this late into the season.
Yeah, it's not good. It's been one of the worst months of Aztec basketball I've seen in a long time.
Because again, let's face it, going all the way back to the Utah State game, really the only moments that you could say we played well was second half at Boise, the run against Air Force, and second half against Colorado State. That's only around 3 halves of good basketball the last 3 weeks. That's just not going to cut it.
No, they have to figure it out. I mean, now we've seen, I saw in Dutcher's first couple years, they look pretty terrible at times in December and January and then turn it up in February. So it's still on the table, but they got to prove it to us.
Like, this is, the difference here is this is by far Dutcher's youngest and most inexperienced team compared to those other teams. At least with those teams, you had veterans who were in the program. Not like this one. So, we'll see. Like, I still want to hope. I still want to believe. Like, the talent and the ability is there for this team to fix it. It's up to the players, and it's up to especially the coaching staff to fix this.
Yeah,
yeah. Because bottom line is, yeah. Go ahead.
Dutch is 2 hands off for a young team because he's always like,
figure it out, guys. Figure it out. Unless you need me, you guys can figure it out. You just can't do that with this type of team. That's like my biggest gripe with this year is that fact. Yeah, again, there's no leader. There's no leader on this team who could do that. We saw it in the UNLV game during the huddles. Like, the players, like, no one's talking. Like, hey, we have to do this, we have to do that. Like, try to hype the guys up when we're down. I don't see that. I don't see that any personality from that. So, like, yeah. Again, it's frustrating because they have the ability to play well, and we saw.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, I know we said this about UNLV, but hopefully, just hopefully, that game against Air Force was the wake up call that we need. Hopefully.
And again, you can't rely what we did offensively against Air Force to work against better competition.
No.
Because again, like, face it, Boyd and Bird were basically non-existent yesterday.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
You just can't have that. And they were non-existent for the first half against UNLV. Like, those are the two guys you need in order to win. And when one of those disappear, we're not a good team. We've seen it against New Mexico. We've seen it the last two games. It's ugly. Because guess what? JCJ is not going to score 14 against a good team. We know who he is. Freaking he missed a gimme layup that should have put us up 4 and iced the game in overtime, but he missed.
Yeah, of course.
Like, you can't rely on him to do that. He hasn't proven it all year. Our bigs is like, yeah, like you just can't rely on them. So yeah, we need to rely on our guards. And Taj was a bright spot again yesterday.
Yeah, maybe that's one thing you can hang your hat on. It's like, well, Taj had a good game, helped you win in overtime with Boyd and Bird both fouled out. Maybe that is a positive you can take away. I don't know, but they haven't put it together, but maybe this was the wake-up call, and maybe Saturday in Reno they do. I'm not counting on it, but
it's going to be a tough ask. Like, yes, Reno sucks. Reno also sucks. They haven't played well in conference. They just got blown out yesterday as well in Logan. The problem here is that we had to waste so much unnecessary energy and effort yesterday. We had to go to overtime in elevation, and then less than 72 hours later, we have to be in elevation once again. And let's face it, Nevada's a better team than Air Force. Yeah. So you got to play much better than in the first place to begin with. I hope I'm wrong. They can do it. But again, I can't put my hopes too high right now. Until they show it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and again, the thing that bothered me yesterday is you should know how the game's being called. Why are we fouling way too much? Adjust to it. That shows you that we're a young and an undisciplined team. Right? That right there.
Yeah.
There was a point in the game, even into overtime, I think, there was a stat saying Air Force shot more free throws than actual field goal attempts.
Yeah.
So this, I hope the team grew up already in non-conference because we played a good schedule, but this is not good. Again, the Mountain West is this bad, and we're playing this down to competition.
Yeah.
And the thing that hurts, if we do make the tournament, we're not going to be as battle-tested. We would have taken 3 months off if we make the tournament and play a good team right off the bat.
Yeah. Not going to help. That's for sure.
So, I don't know, I hope they figure it out and win games, yesterday was as bad as you could have gotten without losing.
Yeah.
So, again, Heidi has proven nothing to show that he should even sniff the court. Another problem with yesterday with rotations is Phil didn't give a good 8 minutes. But
you shouldn't have more than 8 minutes though, man.
Let him grow. Let him develop. He's your future. What's Miles Heidi's future with the program? What has Miles Heidi done?
By the way, did you see that, since you're talking about Heidi, did you see the thing that some people noticed, and I noticed when I watched the video back, that when McKinney made the buzzer beater to win the game, yes, everyone mobbed McKinney except for Heidi, who just stood there on the bench confused.
Which is odd behavior. Really odd behavior.
It's very suspicious. It's like, dude, do you not want to be part of this team? Are you a selfish player? What the fuck's going on with that dude? Excuse my language, but I try not to swear on him. What the heck, dude?
Yeah, and then we saw it last Saturday too when he got yanked in the second half. He was so upset. He didn't even have eye contact with anyone. So that raises suspicious levels as well.
We gotta get him out of here, man. I mean, this is bad.
Dutch, at this point, I know you recruited him. I know you liked him out of high school. But at this point, he's a lost cause.
Yeah.
He's a lost cause. And again, if this team was any better, or had more depth in the front court, he's getting no minutes.
Yeah, of course. The fact that he even gets any minutes at all shows the
Tells
problem.
you. Yes. But, yeah, so, I just hope... The one thing here is, every game is must win at this point. So, Dutch, cut the rotation. You got to give your best players more playing time at this rate.
Stop trying to let guys figure it out. It's ridiculous.
This isn't the NBA. Allow the guys to play. They can play 35 minutes. You can bump them 2 to 3 minutes a game. Figure it out, Dutch. Because yesterday still wasn't good enough. Not even close to what the standard should be for a program.
No.
So yeah, be relieved that we won the game, but also be extremely dissatisfied with how we've been playing the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's bad.
So, we just gotta cross our fingers, and I think the one last thing I want to talk about the Aztecs here is we need momentum heading into the Pac-12. I do not want to go into the new conference looking this bad.
Yeah, me neither.
So, figure it out, guys. Figure it out. I know you have it in you to play good basketball. Figure it out. Hopefully this time the message is put out there. And Dutch, or anyone who listens to this, please be tougher on the players.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty clear they need help. You're the head coach, Dutch. You're the head coach. You're supposed to uplift them if they need it.
Yeah, and this isn't an experienced team like past years. You can't put it all on the players like you have in the past. It's worked in the past when you've had more experienced teams, but you got to step up and be more hands-on this time.
You got to change some things up, Dutch. Sometimes you have to change things.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know stuff that you've done in the past has worked, but it's not working this season.
Yeah, because he's never had this young of a team.
No. So hopefully he wakes up as well and saying, okay, I have to do this. And do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically saying a lot of the same things we said last time I was on, but just expanding on it and adding a little bit of things, obviously, what happened yesterday.
Yeah, because it was just reinforced by the Air Force game.
Yeah, guys, even we didn't hit free throws.
Yeah. What's going on with that? Come on, guys.
It's this team in this program, we are so used to them doing the little things to win games. They're not doing it. They're just not doing it.
No, they're not.
So again, who's your leaders? And Dutch, if there's no leaders, step it up.
Yeah. I agree.
And I think one last thing here is with how they play offensively. There's still a lot of times and a lot of ugly possessions out there. What are we doing in practice to change things up? To set up new plays? I don't see it. I still see a lot of late shot clock booping up bat shots miss. Or falling in love way too much with the three if we're not shooting it well.
Yeah.
Yeah, bottom line is things need to change unless we don't want things to go our way. Gotta adjust.
Yeah, gotta adjust.
Gotta adjust.
All right, is that all on the Aztecs?
Yeah. for me.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. I mean, hey, if they come out with bad intentions on Saturday night and kick Reno's ass, and that sparks a turnaround, we'd love it. But got to prove it to us. We're not going to sit here and predict it's going to be happening based off what we've seen.
Correct.
All right, now we're going to moving on to what we alluded to at the top. The Padres, another crap day in this terrible offseason. Profar signed with Atlanta, so he'll be here in San Diego opening day, but for the visiting team, we're playing the Braves opening day, in case you couldn't figure that one out. Not overly surprised, but disappointed because I was still holding on to a little bit of hope that we could at least re-sign him, but that did not happen.
Okay, I'll say this first, and then we'll go to the bigger problem. You can make the argument, and I kind of lean this way as well, because it was a 3-year, $42 million contract, so 14 AAV. Kind of a little steep for my liking. So I've seen people that both me and you interact on Twitter/X saying, okay, like, I'm fine passing up on that deal. The bigger issue is this. If you're passing up on that, then do other things. That's the bigger issue here.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Jeff Sanders said they weren't close. So what are you doing? What are you doing?
It's alarming. Like, if you don't want to spend that, fine. Spend what you want to spend somewhere else. Just don't spend zero.
Yeah, still zero. I mean, and I'll just say this too, like, I hear some people say, like, oh, well, they were planning to take a step back anyways because of loss of the TV deal, and like they knew, like, you understand, and I believe that to a degree, because I think that they would have cut back last year regardless. Everything that happened last offseason would have happened even as Peter was alive, if Peter was alive. That's why I kind of, gave whoever was running the team a free pass. I'm like, they have very real financial realities, and so I think, and supposedly this was going to be the plan even if Peter was alive. So, okay. But this is where I take issue with it. And I said this when I called into John and Jim today. If you guys were listening to John and Jim today in the afternoon,
Good call.
Is that Peter would have a plan to do something, but if he saw an opportunity, he would change that plan and say, you know what, we have a chance here. I'm going to spend the money even though that wasn't the plan. Because you got to remember, 2022, and I said this exact wording on John and Jim today.
Yes.
They were planning to be under the luxury tax in 2022. But then, it's the trade deadline. They're 10 games over 500. They're in a wild card spot. They think they're getting Tatis back. They're getting an MVP year from Manny. They're getting All-Star year from Joe. Darvish probably should have been an All-Star. Got Cy Young votes that year. Snell was starting to pitch better. Like, they saw an opportunity and said, you know what? We will go over the luxury tax because we think we're getting Tatis back and we have those things going for us. So we see an opportunity for a championship here. We're going to go change plans and go over. You mean to tell me, knowing that if Peter Seidler was alive, he wouldn't say, okay, you can convince me to spend more money because we're this close to a championship? Of course he would have. Of course he would have. Now, would they have re-signed Profar or not? I don't know. Maybe Preller still would have thought that Atlanta gave him too much, $14 million a year for 3 years for in his 30s with one good year. Maybe that's possible. But I'll tell you what, they wouldn't have signed 0 new players on January 23rd. They would have done a lot of things already. And you can't even say, oh, they were waiting on Roki's decision. It's been a week now, a full week.
Yeah. No. Like we said when we broke down Roki going to the Dodgers, they would have done other things to help say, hey, Roki, we're serious. It's not all about you. Peter would have done. Peter would have spent. Peter wouldn't have cared saying, "Oh, we're over the CBT. We just reset last year. We just made playoff money. We made so much off tickets and attendance."
Yeah. I'll just say this too. If Shield doesn't win the lawsuit, I will just say this. These brothers, so far, again, maybe we're wrong, and maybe they prove us. I feel similar to the way I do about the Aztecs right now. There's still time for them to shut me up. There's still time for them to prove me wrong. But as of right now, they are liars. They are hiding behind their brother's name. And winning a championship is not a priority for them. Now, that's different. I will say, though, that is different than, not wanting the team to win at all. It's just not a high priority for them.
Which is a disservice.
It's a disservice because that was the only thing that your brother cared about, Seidler Brothers. The only thing he cared about was bringing a championship to San Diego. Prove it to us.
Yeah. Thank you.
Prove it to us. You had a chance, even if it would have been an overpay. Profar was the heart and soul of the team last year. Even if it was an overpay, if you paid him, I would have said, okay, maybe we have something here. But you didn't. You blew an opportunity to prove it. You guys suck. And if you are going to continue to do this, then sell the freaking team. I have had it.
I know you're not the only one there on that boat. I definitely would be as well. At this rate, going off conference level, I have way less confidence on the Seidler brothers turning things around than the Aztecs. So it's not even close. At this rate,
I don't disagree, dude. I mean,
it's not even close. But still, oh my, it's been almost been a year and a half since they've took control of the team. You could say all you want about last offseason. Fine, we got it. They were over the tax 3 years in a row. They had deficits. They lost a TV deal. But last year, we made playoff revenue. People were still going to Petco, watching us play.
The player costs were $100 million less than last year. And you made more money because attendance was slightly up and you made playoff revenue. There is no excuse. None.
And you reset the tax this year.
Right. Yes, you're right.
So again, it's absolutely disgraceful behavior. At this point, I have zero trust in them. I have zero trust.
How could you?
And I saw this tweet, and basically, it's spot on at this rate. Why do you think Shield is suing them? Because they're doing nothing. They're a disgrace.
Right. And that's why if you're one of these people that's down to say, oh, Shield cost them a chance at Sasaki by suing the brothers. Guess what? If they were doing the right thing, she doesn't sue them.
No. This is not even an issue if they didn't screw things up. But guess what? At this rate, they're proving to be money grabbers. And just profiting off their brother's name. And that is not what we just wanted. Yep.
Like I said, either prove us wrong and start doing things to make this team a winner, or sell the frickin' team. And I don't want to hear anybody say, oh, if they sell the team, they're going to relocate it. Or what if you sell it to somebody who also sucks as an owner? One thing. They are not relocating. Shut up with that. I hate when people say that. Whether it's what if they sell to somebody out of town? Or what if they are plotting to move the team? Not going to happen. I'm going to pull something up. I have something up on my computer right here. I'll tell you guys. So, San Diego is the 18th largest metropolitan area in the United States, okay?
Yep.
The largest without a baseball team is Inland Empire, Riverside, San Bernardino, Ontario, which is part of the LA media market and CSA. So obviously not going to go there. Looking at other cities, other regions that don't have a team. Orlando doesn't have a team. Okay, over 400,000 less people than San Diego. They have the Magic, and Florida doesn't care about the MLB teams they already have.
Right.
Charlotte, again, nearly 500,000 fewer people, and they already have NFL and NBA. San Antonio, more than 500,000 fewer people of the NBA. Portland, 800,000 fewer people, has the NBA. Austin, 800,000 fewer people. I mean, but there's 2 teams in Texas, and Austin is probably Rangers or Astros territory. Sacramento, I mean, they got the Kings, and they're hosting the A's temporarily, so going down the list, Columbus, I mean, they have over 1 million fewer people. Come on. And I'm just not even going to bother to keep going down the list because you get the idea. Everyone says Nashville. Nashville has 1.2 million fewer people and has 2 teams currently. Stop. That's ridiculous to say. Plus, MLB wouldn't allow it. MLB is that's one of the things that, for all the things that MLB has gone wrong, what they have gone right is that every single team in the league, except for the A's and the Nationals, have been in their current market for either more than 50 years or their entire existence. So MLB is good. MLB, for all the things MLB does wrong, they've been very good about keeping teams where they are.
Yeah, like relocation is basically not a thing in baseball.
No, it really isn't. And even for it to happen, it took extreme dire circumstances in Montreal and Oakland just becoming probably the biggest political disaster among major cities in the United States. So,
and again, like if you're looking at teams that relocate, it's because they have bad attendance or are in a bad shape as a franchise. The Padres are none of that. Especially not. Or the
stadium's falling apart, which the Padres obviously aren't either.
So again, none of those 3 is happening.
And I don't know why you can argue that the current ownership, for as much as we've criticized them, they are, putting money into improving Petco Park. So obviously they're not going anywhere if they're doing that. So I don't know why people think this. I mean,
and again, if you're a business person, why would you want to leave San Diego, even if you're an outsider? Is like saying, oh, they're the only team in town, I can make money off that.
What, are you going to move them to Nashville where they got to compete with the Titans and Predators with 1.2 million fewer people? No. And that's probably, honestly, the best option.
So again, there's
limited. It's not even that good of one compared to San Diego, so.
So guess what?
I think Nashville would do well with an MLB team, but it'll probably be expansion, or maybe the White Sox move there, but it won't be, it'll be expansion or the White Sox. Like, come on, don't do this. Don't do that relocation crap. That is not happening. And don't say, oh, you said the Chargers would never leave either, probably. That's a totally different situation. Not even comparable. So stop with that. And for the second point, these sports teams nowadays are way too valuable to be sold to jokesters. Like, a Dan Snyder could never get control of a team now, because when Snyder bought the Washington then Redskins in '99, it was $800 million, which was a record for a sports team at the time. $800 million in '99. I did this on the inflation calculator earlier today. Is about $1.5 billion in 2025 money. When he sold the franchise, now the Commanders, to Josh Harris's group, $6 billion. Like, these franchises are so valuable that you can't have some jokester buy the team. And I said this on John Jim too. Whoever buys the team is going to be somebody who is stupid rich and is going to be serious about it, because he has to be in order to have enough money to buy the team. A perfect example of this is, like, the Twins are up for sale right now, and supposedly there's, several suitors for them. Minnesota. Okay, the Twins. If people want to buy the Twins, okay, the Twins are at best the third most popular team in major sports in Minnesota. I mean, they're definitely behind the Vikings. Minnesota's a pretty big hockey state. They're probably behind the Wild. They might be ahead of the Timberwolves, but I don't know if they are now. I mean, because the Timberwolves are, kind of trending back up after they were so terrible post Garnett for a while. But either way, my point is the Twin Cities is a similar sized metro area to San Diego. They got 4 teams. And people still want the Twins, and that's in Minnesota. This is in San Diego. Look at the sellouts you're getting every game. Viejas is full every game for Aztec basketball too. And the Padres are the only major league sports team in town, and it's in San Diego. If people want to buy into the Twins, could you imagine the kind of owner you could get for the Pods in San Diego?
Right.
You probably you could get the baseball equivalent of Steve Ballmer.
Yeah.
I don't know who that guy is, but you could get a baseball version of Steve Ballmer here.
Again, San Diego is way more. San Diego is an attractive market. It still is. For people, the
MLS. The MLS is coming. The MLS is coming here.
Right.
And all you hear about is from commentators and writers is how great it was to come to San Diego when the Chargers were here.
Right.
Not the 22 Holiday Bowl. Gus Johnson said one of the great. He said San Diego, one of the great places in the country to watch a game, and it's too bad they don't have the NFL here anymore. You got writers who say they always love coming to San Diego when whatever team they covered played the Chargers here in the NFL. So there are people who talk about San Diego that way. People want to be here. And the Padres, they've had some exciting moments this decade. They haven't won a World Series, but they've had some exciting moments this decade. They've gotten close, and they got exciting players. They got exciting players coming. You're going to get a legitimate buyer that is probably going to be close to the Steve Ballmer of basketball and of baseball, and for the reasons we mentioned, there is little to no chance of a relocation. Probably no chance, I'd say, actually. So do not act like selling the team would be a bad thing if it comes to that. Which, honestly, it probably will. Honestly, I think the end result is that it will end up, the team being sold.
And guess what? For people who are saying, "Oh, we're just stepbrother to LA. We're a small market." No. If you're a smart person or a business owner, you would see the true potential of San Diego.
Yeah, even when after we beat the Dodgers in the division series in 22, there was an article in the UT talking about, I think it was in the UT talking about how look, this NLDS is proving how great a fan San Diego has, and it's the 28th largest media market, 18th largest metro area, and only has one major league team. What can other major league teams do good here? And of course, there were some people who are like, well, they'd have to fund a stadium. California doesn't really do that. They're kind of landlocked because they got the desert to the east, the ocean to the west, and LA and Anaheim to the north. So you hear that usuals, but there were also people who said it's an opportunity. These people prove that they care. It's a great place to be. The people are into it. So people should.
Yeah. And again, for all of
I'll give you another comparison to
Go ahead, and then I'll add.
There's other metro areas that only have one team. Memphis only has one. They only have the Grizzlies in the NBA. Nobody says, let's put a baseball team in Memphis. Let's put an NFL team in Memphis. Nobody says that.
No. Or we badly need a football team in Oklahoma City, or a baseball team in Oklahoma City.
Well, I personally think an NFL team would do very well in Oklahoma City, but nobody says that.
Right. That. Not to the degree of us deserving another football team here or another.
No, and yeah, even the Hartford had the Whalers in the NHL for however many
Right.
years. You don't see people saying, "Oh, the NHL should go back to Hartford." Nobody says that.
Yeah, but and for other people saying, you guys let the Chargers out to dry. What else could the Chargers would have done? Okay, well, guess what? And this is
Don't
just
start with this. Don't start with this. I hate those people.
I know, but again, it's just proving the point that let's face it, Peter is a great owner. Obviously, the people showed up. The media noticed it.
Yeah, absolutely. If the day comes that we get an NFL team again, you can thank Peter for it because Peter made it clear and obvious to me that if you invest, people will show up here, and that's why you start hearing these talks.
Right, and then again, for people who say,
and that's why people are again. That goes back to our point. People are going to jump at an opportunity to buy the Padres and get the first championship for San Diego.
And then for people who are saying,
100%.
And then for people like real San Diegans know this, but for people who are saying, "Oh, the fan turnover is always terrible at Qualcomm, Jack Murphy, San Diego Stadium." Well, guess what? Look at the ownership. Can you name me one good owner in Chargers history?
Maybe Baron Hilton, but he was 5 years in the AFL days?
Basically, during the Super Bowl era. The answer is 0. And as we've said recently during our most recent pods, especially you need good ownership. You need a good front office. You need a good head coach.
I mean, I think
you guys are
y'all are gonna watch the Washington Commanders in the NFC Championship on Sunday. That franchise was dormant for 30 years because they had terrible ownership. Now they have real ownership, and look at them.
So yeah, this kind of applies to the Padres too. All we need is ownership at this point for them too, because that's the only thing right now that's failing us. So it shows you the importance of ownership.
Yeah. Which is why I'm so pissed off, because I came into this offseason you know what? We were so close, and Shields tweeting she's going to get control of the team, and we're going to make these moves, and we're going to, be in position to win get back to that point and hopefully finish the job this year. And instead, this has happened, and that's why I'm so pissed off.
And again, it's everyone in the fan base, and warranted what our frustrations are. It sucks, but and the thing that's most frustrating too, again, we're this close to pitchers and catchers reporting. We don't even have a complete roster. This is different than last year as well. At least last year we didn't have the holes that we had now.
Yeah. I had somebody at work. I had somebody at work when they walked past me earlier this week say "Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready for baseball. I'm done with football." And I didn't say anything because I didn't get a chance to. But my first thought was I'd be more ready if we had a halfway competent catcher. Left field is whatever. Give Tirso a shot. If you started Lockridge and hit him ninth, whatever. He had good numbers in the International League and with the Yankees AAA, which isn't on the moon, and an outfield of him, Merrill, and Tatis, the ball would never drop. So, if you shoved him in the lineup batting ninth or gave Tirso a shot, I'm fine with that. You cannot go into the season with these catching options.
Yeah,
and no, I don't think Christian Vasquez from Minnesota is a solution. He's been terrible the last 2 years, and he's expensive. So please no on that one. Unless you're trading Cronenworth to get him. Otherwise, no.
Yeah, I think at this rate, what I'm trying to say here is, what else can we do? We're this late into the offseason. What else can we do? What are our other options right now to help shore up catching, to help get an extra starter if needed to?
At this point, dude, I don't know. Trade the Reynolds and retool the team for 2026 and beyond, because Profar to me was the last real hope to show that you were all in on 25.
And again, yeah, I think that really, we kind of already, both you and me and other people that we talked to, kind of already knew what the direction was, but this just confirmed it. all but
Doesn't this feel like the nail in the coffin for 2025?
I hate to say it, and I know Padres are saying, "Oh, it's totally over now. We have no future." Stop.
No, that's not true either. I'm still, that's why I'm saying, to do this, because the way this offseason's gone, you'd be scrambling to try and fill your holes, but you
It's
got
not
pieces
worth
that
that.
have value that if you could get guys that will be here when DeVry and Salas come up, and Tatis and
We can
Amaro are
fix
still in their 20s.
this roster in 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you already have, with the pieces you already have a relatively high floor. I mean,
and I still wager if we compete by 2027, given that we have a season. I know there's people who are saying, "Oh, that the lockout might cost the full season." I don't think it will.
not a full season, because I mean,
No.
people are saying, well, they're going to fight hard for a salary cap. Yeah, and I agree with that. But there are ways. I want a salary cap, and I know you do too. But
I do too.
You can level the playing field without a salary cap. As much as we don't like Ken Rosenthal, he actually had some pretty interesting suggestions. He's like, penalize the teams that go over the luxury tax more, which he's right about that, because the biggest problem now is that the Dodgers just laugh at the luxury tax penalties. Like, make those penalties harsher on those teams, because clearly it's not stopping the Dodgers and it's not stopping Steve Cohen. But, if you have harsher penalties, then it probably won't stop him from doing it, but it'll slow him down a little bit and encourage the bottom teams to compete. And Rosenthal said, on the other hand, like, start taking away draft picks from the teams that don't have a payroll of at least 100 million. Like, that's a way to like even the playing field, because you have to compromise, because if the lower spending teams are like, well, if there's no cap, how are we going to, like, the lower teams are going to be like, well, if you're making me spend, how is that might still not be enough. And then you tell them, okay, well, if we're forcing you to spend to, keep your draft picks and whatever, then the highest spending teams, they'll get penalized more. They'll lose more draft picks or lose more international money for blowing past the tax.
You can be creative. You can be creative.
Yeah, like you can like promote, you can, slow down the top teams, because at some point, the Dodgers do have a pretty old team. At some point, they're going to need draft picks and international money. So if you start taking more of that away for going past the luxury tax, that would it wouldn't make them, a bad franchise by any means, but it would slow them down to the point where, the Diamondbacks or us could have a chance to win the NL West in the regular season. And it could, encourage these teams to be like, okay, there's still these teams like the Pittsburgh Pirates to be like, okay, well, if they can't, just load up on everybody and they have to, settle for like a 90-something win season, then maybe I feel a little bit better about them going into the playoffs if I was get in. So, although I think that personally, I believe that, Bob Nutting's a bigger problem for the game than the Dodgers, because like the Pirates have, Skeens, Keller, Jones. If they spent just a little bit to make themselves a wild card team, with that rotation, they can beat anybody in the playoffs, even the Dodgers. But that's a completely different story.
Yeah.
My point is, either way, you're going to see something to level the playing field at the time Salas and DeVry come up anyway. So if you, set yourself up for then, you'll be looking pretty good.
Yeah, at this rate, again, similar to what my sentiments are with the Aztecs. I said it even on Sunday as well. You have to temper your expectations now. You have to. I know it sucks. I know we want to win, but you can't go all in every year, guys.
No, and it's hard, and I know it's so hard. It's hard for me too, after being so close last year, because what you guys got to understand is there is nothing, and people who know me in real life know this. There is nothing I want to see more than to see the Padres win the World Series, and they were this close last year. But
at this rate,
but looking at the reality of the situation, like, I don't know how it's going to happen with the way ownership's acting. So if they're going to act this way, then AJ has to act accordingly, basically.
Again, we can't blame AJ for this. I don't, again, I've been critical of AJ, but none of this is on him. Because this is
No, he
all
did a phenomenal
ownership.
job last year, and this offseason's on him.
This is all ownership.
Yeah, and this has been the most deflating offseason as a Padres fan because,
Yep.
last two times they got close, 20 and close or close-ish in the case of 20. I don't know how close they really were in 20, but, when you feel like, oh, we're right there, we're so close to a World Series, they went out. It didn't work out, but they went out and did things in following the
That's what
2020
Tyler
and
did.
2022 seasons.
That-
They went
that's
out
like
and did
another-
things. This
that's what-
year,
None. That's like
year I
another
felt like
example
they
of
were the
like Seidler.
closest.
Yeah.
This year, I felt like they were the closest to a World Series out of those 3 years because I know someone's going to say, well, they made the LCS in 22. How could you say this team was closer? I mean, that 22 team would have had to face a dominant Houston team in the World Series if they had gone past Philadelphia. This team had a clear path, I think, the rest of the way if they beat the Dodgers. So,
And I think what you just said right now, I think just proves more of the case that if Peter was alive, he would have made an exception. Just like what you said about the 22 deadline.
of course he would have.
He would have saw what you just said, what everyone would have said, saying, "Oh, we were this close. Oh, I'll make the roster better." That's sort of what he would have done. He would have never allowed Michael King to go into arbitration. He probably
King would have been extended. Higgy would have been kept. Profar would have been signed back. That's the most infuriating thing of all is that we only needed to do just a little bit. We didn't need to go out and make all these huge splashes. We just needed to, get a little bit better, and we didn't. Oh.
And I feel like Seidler, if he was healthy and knew what was going on, he would have learned his lesson from 23.
Yeah, it's just so frustrating, dude. I can't explain to you how frustrating it is.
Yeah, it just sucks because for a multitude of reasons. It's like, again, I want to win as much as everyone does, including you. It's just not gonna happen. Like, I know we've been arguing. Oh, what if you get in? Like, anything can happen if you get in.
I still believe that. It's just that they're making it harder on themselves every day that goes by without.
And you have to make the playoffs first. You have to get in first. That's the other problem.
Yeah, and right now I think the Padres are the 8th best team in the National League.
We're basically outside looking in.
Yeah, I would put us right now. If I did pick my playoff teams right now, I'd say the Dodgers win the West. Obviously, I'd probably go Philadelphia still in the East. I would say that the Cubs win the Central. And then I'd say that Arizona, Atlanta, and the Mets are wild cards. And then I'd put Milwaukee ahead of us, too. And Cincinnati isn't too terribly far behind us in 9th, I don't think.
The NL, again, is deep and there's competition.
And I think if enough things go right, Pittsburgh in 10th is even in shouting distance.
Again, like, all these other teams around us have gotten better or have done things to try to improve their teams. We're the only ones that haven't. We're the only ones that haven't. And again, my analogy here is look at the 2019 Cubs. Did absolutely nothing in the offseason, and they wound up missing the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, like, the fact that the bottom line is doing completely nothing in the offseason, you should get punished for that, and usually you do with what happens on the field. Again, like, a good example of this is last year's Twins in the deadline. Like, they did nothing. They thought saying, oh, we'll be okay, we'll get in the playoffs. Guess what? They missed the playoffs. Because they didn't even do anything at the deadline. So that proves to you have to try. Yeah. When the opportunity is right, you have to try.
Yeah, and I'm not seeing this from these guys. So Seidler brothers, I'm going to say it again. You got anything else to say before I close it out this way?
Basically not.
So you got nothing else to say? Because I want to close on this.
No, you can close it.
Seidler brothers, this is my challenge to you. Prove me wrong and make this team better. Or sell the frickin' team. There. I said it. That's your challenge, Seidler Brothers.
And Davey, you are not the only one who has these sentiments as well.
Oh
That
no.
distinct of the team. Like the list is growing by the minute, probably by the second even. And the last thing I want to say here is I am a firm believer in any sport that you don't get better, you only get worse if you don't do anything to try to improve your team. Firm believer in that.
Yeah, that's a great way to end, Matty. Thanks for listening, guys. I know I got a little fired up, probably more fired up than I ever have been on any of these podcasts, but not even bringing Profar back hit me in a way.
Not even being close. Not even being close.
Not even being close. Yes, not even being close to bringing Profar back. Just struck a nerve with me that no other move or non-move this offseason has. So bear with me, guys. Hopefully we have some more pleasant things to talk about next time. But for now, thanks for putting up with me. And until the next time.
Yep. Thank you, everyone. Keep the faith, I guess. And go Aztecs.
Yeah, I don't know what to say at this point because it might be a rough 2025 unless some things change or we get lucky again. I don't know.
Yeah.
Peace out, fellas.
Let's win in Reno.